listeners, we have a good one for you today. My co-host, Dr. Matt Hanauer, is not here at this very moment, but believe me, he will be by the end of the podcast. But who we do have here is somebody that many people say is the best coach in the triangle. Certainly one of the best tennis players, if not the best tennis player in the triangle. Coach Loic Dadavi. Loic, thank you so much for coming on today. How you doing?
Oh, wow. What an introduction.
Do you disagree with any of it?
I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know all the coaches around. Yeah, I won a lot of matches, so I might be a good player in the area.
You know what? I feel confident saying that. And hey, Matt is here. Matt, we are rolling. Welcome to the show. Can you believe
Welcome
it?
to the show, Matt.
Yeah, just might be a good player, this guy says. Yeah, I just come into that. Good to see everybody. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So
what are you drinking there?
Little poppy soda. I've been switching up. I was big on the Spindrift, the team Spindrift, and then I switched over to these little sodas. Are you doing coffee this morning, Zach?
I'm doing a cheeky afternoon coffee because I've got an in-person meeting that's going to run super late, and that's the only way I'll be able to stay up.
In person? That's
Hold
gross.
the phone. What's that beverage, Loic?
Oh yeah, what
you're drinking? There? Let's get right into plugs. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just drinking water. If you ask Andreas and if you ask Jermaine, they're all making fun of me because I usually use a glass bottle for water, but it's not always directly from the supermarket. I usually just fill it with my own water and just carry it around.
Question: is it carbonated or is it flat water?
It's flat water right now, but I love carbonated water.
Yeah. I am also a total sucker for carbonated water, and the Soda Stream I feel like is, you're like me, the best way to save money because you can just refill the bottle that way.
Right.
Matt, you're looking confused. Are you familiar?
No, I'm thinking, why am I not doing that instead of buying cans? Like, that seems like a good idea.
Wow. You know what, guys? This isn't Talking Water. This is the Triangle Tennis Podcast. And so with that, Loic, why don't you tell folks that aren't familiar with you a little bit about yourself? Who are you? What's your tennis background? All that good stuff.
Yeah. My name is Loic Dadavi, and I'm originally from West Africa. I'm from Benin. Benin is close to Nigeria, it's close to Togo. I started playing tennis super early. My dad was playing tennis in his 20s, and when my older brother and I were born, we just fell into that. I was quickly pretty good. So around 11 years old, I started playing tournaments around Africa. And so in Africa, the way that the system works is that you have to qualify to play outside of Benin, for example. Let's say that there is a tournament that is going to regroup players from Benin, Togo, Nigeria. You have to beat everyone in Benin, and then once you beat everyone in Benin, you are selected to represent Benin in another competition.
So question for you.
Yeah.
Did you have a rival or somebody like that was like the person that you had to beat to get to that position?
Yeah, I had a ton of rivals growing up.
Yeah.
So my dad, when I was younger, created a tennis academy. And so I was training in that academy, and we had academy that were rivals to ours. And so most of the time when we were playing tournaments to qualify for those better tournaments, we had to face those other academy kids.
Yeah.
And so I had people that I just had to beat every single time that I played.
Yeah.
Many times. And yeah, I didn't win all the times. There were some really good tennis players in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Question. In the States, obviously hard courts are the primary surface, but I know in a lot of the rest of the world, that's not the case. What's the primary surface in Benin? And how did that shape your tennis trajectory?
In Benin, it's like in the US. In Benin, it's hard court, but a little different in the sense that it's older type of courts. So
like Rock Quarry.
So rock
Yeah.
quarry,
So,
exactly.
yeah, like rock quarry. Yeah,
Rock
yeah.
quarry is like a good example.
Yeah. Very cool.
Or
Is that so? Are they fast hard courts or slower hard courts typically?
faster hard courts.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we got to play more like an aggressive style of tennis. A lot of serve and volleys from where I'm from. Yeah.
Super cool. Matt, what you got for Loic? What questions do you have?
So it sounds like it's Zach. I know you don't play video games, but the way you describe tennis in Africa is like you defeat one level, which is your country, and then you go to the next level, and then the next level. That's
Yeah.
like how it works. Because in juniors, you don't really. There's qualifiers, but you can play. There's nothing stopping you from going to Michigan or wherever. I guess that's a little different
Right.
analogy, but you literally couldn't. So that, yeah, I guess that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. We didn't have that many tournaments in Benin, so it was everyone's goals to win in Benin so that you could get exposure to better tournaments. And I realized pretty quickly that it gave me an opportunity to travel and to meet other people. And I wasn't that great in school, so I always wanted to move around and travel with friends. And
Yeah.
so that was such a big motivation for me to train and get better.
So you become the best young player in Benin. What happens next? Where's the next boss, that next round of tournaments?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good question. The next one. I don't know. I wasn't the best player the whole time, but I was most of the time in the top 3. Then you win that tournament that brings together Benin, Togo, Nigeria, and then you go to the African Junior Championship. So the African Junior Championship regroups all the African country and all the better players in Africa. And so I've played that when I was a junior. And I think my best result was when I was 15 or 16 years old. I made it to the quarterfinals of the African Junior Championship.
Wow.
And you got to think that players that won that tournament, players like, how do I forget his name? The South African dude. How do I forget his name?
Were they on the pro circuit, I'm assuming?
Was it Kevin Anderson?
Kevin Anderson.
Yeah.
So he won that tournament, and most of them made it to the top 300 in the world.
Wow.
So it's very high level tournament.
So question, who is the best player you've ever played? Because I know to date, the best one is that we've had somebody on the show who's played is Rajiv Ram, who Josh Collins played in middle school, I think.
I don't remember.
Am I remember that correctly?
Didn't Andres play somebody?
Oh yeah, he played
Paul.
Caroline Navarro and Tommy Paul. Yeah.
Paul, yeah.
So who's the best player you've ever played against or hit with?
I guess it's Andreas. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I played Kei Nishikori when I was 15 years old.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm gonna assume it is.
I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. You took Kei Nishikori to 3 sets. Is that correct?
Yes, I took Kei Nishikori in 3 sets.
Wow.
I was 15 years old and he was maybe 13. I was 16 and he was 14 years old. I'm 2 years older than him. And a funny story, I played a match the day before and broke a string, and I asked my coach to restring that racket for me, and it didn't happen. So I walk on the court, I play against Kei Nishikori, and win the first set, I think 6-3, break my strings at 3-all or something like that.
Oh man.
And then I have 3 rackets. So I have another one and I take the other one. And in my head, I'm just like, I'm being a brat, basically. I'm like, and my coach before the match tells me, this guy is going to be a superstar, right? You're playing against someone that is going to be really good.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the second set, I break my string. I'm being a brat. And then, not saying that I will have won, but I don't know. I was not in the right mind space after that.
You're worried if you break that one, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like you're done. Yeah.
No,
so, yeah,
I think the that, and also I was just like, what I was just like, I was complaining. I was basically saying why he didn't string my
Why
racket.
didn't he string my racket? Yeah.
So I'm on Kei Nishikori's Wikipedia page right now, and he peaked as the number 7 ranked junior in the world in July of 2006. Do you remember what year you played him and beat him?
No, Ken Nishikori, I didn't beat him.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to give
I
him an extra
mean,
bump.
you could have.
Took him to 3. Took him to,
Yeah.
You were in that.
If I had my racket strong.
Exactly.
It's the coach's fault. Yes.
Yeah, it's all his fault. Yeah. We all know that.
Question. So
I would have been top 10 too.
There you go. If you hadn't have broken that string, you would have been top 10.
That's funny. Question. It sounds like you've played in more places, certainly, than the average player, to say the least. Do you have a particular court that is your favorite, or a particular place that you really enjoyed playing?
To be honest, not really. I've played in some beautiful places. I've played in La Baule in France. I think it's in the south of France.
Oh, yeah.
It's close to Nice and all these beautiful cities. But I don't know if it was an amazing club, but I remember when we arrived to that venue, I just remember being like, oh, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite court that you've played on?
And why is it Rock Quarry? Yeah, and why is it Rock Quarry? Yeah.
That's the first place.
I'm glad we all agree.
Yeah, it's because it's like you mentioned the other day when we were playing, Zach. It is starting to become a grass court, and it is not supposed to be a grass court.
Yeah, if it's a hard court and you have to mow it, it's not in good condition. I will say, I have a soft spot for RQP because of the little train that goes by, and also that is the first place I ever broke a racket as a junior in the 12 and unders.
Yeah.
Where is that
it's
place?
A beautiful location. Yeah, like the location and the atmosphere is great. The courts suck.
It was court 6 at RQP is the court that I broke my first ever racket on.
Wow.
It's not like a long list of broken rackets. I think I've broken 3. One against Jackson, one at RQP as a 12-year-old, and then one in high school. And so that was a special. Do you remember
that's decent?
That's not bad. Do you remember the first time you broke a racket?
I don't know. Maybe I broke maybe 1 or 2 rackets in my life. I had a phase when I was younger, when I was 15, 16 years old, when I was maybe a little older, 17 or 18, when I was going insane after every point that I lose. Literally every point.
Yeah. Some of that's just being a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Federer famously, I think, had that same challenge when he was a teen. And I think certainly I remember those moments at a much lower level, but getting so worked up. Matt,
some of us just haven't grown up and still throw temper tantrums on the court.
Yeah, do you break rackets, Matt, or do you just break visors? Just visors.
Just visors. They're much cheaper.
Financially, yeah. That's if you're gonna break something, break the visor.
It makes a lot of sense. The diadem rackets are great. You've seen me toss them. They stand up. They stand all kinds of tosses.
They remind me of the old Razor flip phones, which like you could throw those out of a moving car and it would work fine still.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you. We have a lot of listeners, and you teach a lot of them. 3.5s to 4.5s. What I think they'd love to hear. What are some pieces of advice that they could take away? They could work on like right away without changing their diet is off the table. I'm going to keep eating snacks. So that's not going to happen. So what are things on the court we can do at that level to make the biggest jump?
Yeah, it's always challenging to give advices like that, but I feel like
what do you see those people making most when you look at guys like that? What mistakes are they making? Because you've seen a lot of us play. You were at that tournament, the Hollow Rock tournament. What mistakes are you seeing, and how do you think folks could avoid those?
It depends. I think that at a 3.0, 3.5 level, I think that just starting to use topspin is huge, right? Because once you start using topspin, then your margin for error just decreases. Then when you go to the 4, 4.5, I feel like most of them already know how to hit with topspin. And now it's, I guess, generating a ball quality that is good enough to make your opponent miss, when we talk about hitting with depth, right? Depth is, I think it's underrated.
Yeah.
And then for me, there are a lot of times when there are a lot of like tactical mistakes, meaning that instead of I'm behind the baseline, I'm still in the neutral rally, we're just exchanging the ball, and I'm trying to win the point from behind the baseline. So there is a time to like negotiate and kind of trade.
Yeah.
And there is a time to defend super high, and there is a time where you're inside the court to attack. So for me, I think at a 4.0, 4.5 level, it's more around those ideas.
We are going to get into a whole lot more coaching talk here momentarily. But before we do, let's just do some quick plugs. Matt, why don't you start us off today? What are you plugging?
I'm going to plug buying a soda machine because that's going to save me so much money because I didn't even think about that. I've been buying these stupid things by the cases. So go buy yourself a soda machine and stop and save the environment and get yourself some cheaper soda.
And Loic, what are you plugging today?
What am I plugging?
How about Lessons with Loic?
Yeah, why not?
Sure. Lessons with Loic. That's
what I was going to plug.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I like that. Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Not to be redundant, but I will also plug Lessons with Loic. Every single time, Loic, that I've taken a lesson with you, especially on doubles positioning and strategy, I have such a noticeable bump for a month. And then I don't, and then I get out of the habit, and the all of the lessons you taught me, they just slowly leave my mind, and I regress to the old habits. So not only taking a lesson or lessons with Loic, taking regular lessons, because that's how you really get the most out of it. And I can say personally and firsthand, every single time I've gotten in a court with you, my game has gotten noticeably better.
You can see it with Mike Westlander, who was a 3.5 and now should have been a 4.5 and will be next year. So you can see someone like that's progression. So I
love that. Thank you guys for the kind words. Westlander is special in a lot of ways. His work ethic is on another level. He puts in the work and shows up every week. So,
is there a student of yours in particular outside of Mike that's progress has really impressed you, or that you want to highlight?
I'm impressed by so many of my students in different ways. Barry, that shows up every single week and just puts in the work. It doesn't matter when it's like super, super hot. He's just a beast. And David, that is putting the work in also every single week and is just working so hard on his mental game and getting back into competition.
Yeah.
David's been doing really well in some tournaments. I know he had a good run at the Banana Open, Zach.
Oh, yeah. We're talking David Ninon, yeah?
I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, man. He's playing great. Yeah. He's had a couple of good runs and getting some. He's not just getting good wins against good players. There are like solid players that he's just running over. And to me, that's the sign that somebody is really making the jump. Like guys that a 3 and 4 result would be more than respectable against as a win, getting double bagel, getting beat 1-0 by David. And he's really put the work in. Loic, I'm curious.
I can't forget Brett, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, duh.
I cannot forget Brett.
Yeah.
Putting in the work, changing a lot his mindset. Yeah. When I was at the tournament last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I've heard a lot of people talk about how, he brings all the balls back. And not really, because his game improved so much in the sense that he's able to, the first set of the match that I saw, he came to the net maybe 10 times in the first set.
Yeah.
So that means that he's building the point, he's creating opportunities. And so a lot of things that he's doing so much better too.
Question for you. Have you ever told him he can use his other hand on the backhand? He doesn't have to just use one. Does he know that? I'm making fun of Matt a little bit. I'm making fun of the one-handed backhand broadly. Has anybody ever told him that?
I don't know. It's weird. It's just not right. The hand doesn't belong there.
Let's change it, bro. It's not working out.
So question, do you typically coach the two-hander? Do you have a preference for what to teach folks, or or do you let the player pick one or two hands on the backhand side? Because it seems like the two-hander is overwhelmingly the go-to these days. And when you see a nice one-hander like Brett has, like Matt has, it's a treat, but it's unusual.
Yeah, no, I love the one-hander. And when I start the younger ones, I usually go towards the two-hander.
Yeah.
I feel it demands certain qualities to starting to master the one-hander. But I feel like that's a decision that the kid also has to make at a point. But at the beginning, I feel like starting them with a two-hander just create like a solid base for the backhand.
Yeah. If Matt and I came to you and Matt's got the one-hander with the two-hander, and I said, I want to go from a two-hander to a one-hander, and Matt wanted to go from a one-hander to a two-hander, which is harder, and how long would it take to get to roughly the same level of backhand?
That's a difficult question. It depends on a lot of things. I think both of you could switch. I think you could switch. And it just takes time. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes repetition. And
I don't know.
For me, for example, I wouldn't be able to change from a two-hander to a one-hander.
Yeah.
I don't see how that would work. Even though I know how to hit a one-hander, I just don't. It will take me a lot of repetition. It will take me a lot of time to get my backhand to what my two-hander is at the moment.
That makes sense, right? The longer you play, and also the better you are, the longer it's going to take to replicate that level. So I think it would totally make sense that it would be faster for Matt and I to make the switch than it would be for you, because the floor for our backhand it's just a different ballpark.
If it goes in, that's a good day.
That's a great day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you guys say that, because I feel like I struggle so much with my backhand. I feel like my backhand is also my weakest shot. And that shows you also that depending on the level that you are playing at, you get exposed. I feel like if I'm playing against a better player than me, then I really feel like my backhand sucks.
As somebody who's seen your backhand, let me just say, I don't feel that way watching it, but I'm curious. And this is something I think every rec player can relate to. So you don't have as much confidence in your backhand as some of your other shots. In match play, how do you hide that? How do you protect your backhand from getting picked on in match play?
If I'm playing against somebody that is better than me, there is no hiding it. You have to accept at some point that you have weaknesses, and you have to develop strategies that kind of help you protect that. I mean, I think it's also a combination of things. It's also telling myself in my mind at certain moments that I can hit a backhand. Like, instead of having the thought that my backhand is my weakest shot, I can, during the match, just tell myself something different. And I know, for example, from experience, that the more I'm trying to slow down my backhand, the worse it gets. So for me personally, I do have to accelerate it. I have some technical cues that I can go back to. I know that for me, turning my shoulders helped me a lot to hit a better quality backhand. And so it's a combination of things. It's tactical. It's tactical in the sense that I'm definitely going to try to shape the game and shape the point so that I can hit more forehands, serve placements, position after hitting my backhand down the line, changing direction whenever I can so that the play is directed towards my best side. So tactically, emotionally, and technically, I can have something to hang on to during matches. And so maybe that's why at some point you can't really see it. But in my mind, what's going on in my mind is probably the same as what goes on in your mind at certain points in the match. Like, my backhand sucks, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
But the way that I deal with it, and I think that the way that, the better players deal with it is different.
That is such a good pro tip. That's such a
Zack
good
does
pro
that all
tip.
the time. He just lies to himself and says, "I am going to win this match." When sometimes it works. Like the other day, you won a really big match. Some days it doesn't work when you're playing Andres and you still don't win.
Yes.
And you get smoked.
I've found that it is easier to lie to yourself in doubles than it is in singles. Because, hey, if one of those guys has an off day, maybe we pick on them, anything could happen. When it's singles, yeah, man, it's tougher.
Tough.
It's tougher to lie to yourself when you're playing somebody who's better.
Yeah, but you work in politics. You know how to do it.
Well, I think philosophically, one, they say in politics, the best liars are the ones who believe it. So it's not enough to just lie to yourself. You have to lie so much that you believe the lie that you're telling.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, gang, we're recording this in the middle of the workday.
Yeah,
it's 3:35. Do we have a few more? Or do we need to wrap up here?
I can do till 45,
okay.
And then I had a lesson this afternoon. I am just sitting in my own filth and
just
sweat.
stinking.
So,
just
and I've got meetings and other stuff. So yeah.
Loic, how long we got you for?
I can stay for 5 more minutes.
Five more minutes.
Matt,
do you want to do one more question, Matt, and then I'll do the question that we haven't asked in a long time, but what used to be the traditional closer?
It's just been us. Let me see what questions you have. I asked about this. Oh, I like this one. What's your favorite level to teach? Like 3.0, 3.5, total beginner, 5.0. What's your favorite level?
Okay, so for me, I think anything that is related to competition I love that. Players that are competing.
Yeah.
So in my teaching, that's the thing that I want.
Okay. So it could be 3.0, it could be 3.5 or a 5.5. As long as they're like, hey, I'm playing leagues and tournaments. That's what you're really into, getting folks ready for competition.
Yes, I love the competition part. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Just last question before we get out of here. What does tennis mean to you?
What does tennis mean to me? So many things. Tennis has been part of my life for forever. It's a way for me to connect with people. What I'm doing now as a business, I'm not really into having a bunch of students and teaching a lot of people, but what I really is having more like a smaller group of people that I get to interact with, that I get to know better. So it's connection. I mean, it's fun. It's for me, every match that I play, I feel like there is a challenge. You discover a new part of yourself. I feel like in every match there is always a moment where you are faced with something that you struggle with.
Yeah.
So it's self-improvement, it's development. It's all
That's amazing. That's awesome. And Loic, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you on the pod. And we'd be remiss if we don't mention one more time, if you're looking for a great coach, Loic is as good as it gets. Loic, thank you again so much, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.